Disclaimer, doll customization is not for children. I use toxic chemicals as well as sharp and hot tools. Hello my loves, I'm Susika and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to make a Valentine's Day inspired Angel doll custom. This is my base doll for today. It is an ever after high doll with a cute smile. I will give her light pink hair. And first I'm working on the doll's wings. These wings are made from plastic. First I cut the edges smooth. Next I paint the wings with white acrylic paint. I apply 2 to 3 layers of acrylic paint and let it fully dry. Next I add glue to the feathers of the wings. And then I add gold foil. I don't want to cover the complete wings with gold foil, just a few of the feathers. Once the glue has fully dried, I remove the excess foil with a dry brush. Then I add varnish all over the foil and the wings, sealing in the paint and the foil. I let that fully dry, and now I'm going to prepare my base doll for customization. I cut her hair as short as possible. Next I bring water to a boil. Then I soak the doll's head in the hot water for a few minutes. This will soften the vinyl and the glue inside the head. I then carefully remove the head from the neck pack. Next I take an old screwdriver and I scrape the inside of the doll's head with it, so I can easily remove the glue and the hair roots with needle nose pliers. After that, I soak a cotton pad in pure acetone and I remove the printed on face up. Then I clean the doll's head and the doll's body with water and soap. I then let it air dry. Once the head has fully dried, I take my rerooting tool and I start rerooting the doll's scalp with light pink synthetic doll hair. If you want to learn how to reroot a doll's head, there is a short tutorial on my channel. First I reroot the doll's hairline and then I fill in the rest of the scalp with doll hair. The last thing I reroot is the hair part. This is how the head looks after I have fully rerooted it. Now I have to secure the hair roots inside the doll's head, and for that I use thick glue. It is important to use thick glue or else the glue would ooze through the holes in the scalp. I cover all the hair roots with glue and then I let it fully dry for a day or two. Next I prepare the doll's body with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat Sealant Spray. I then apply pink soft pastels with a makeup brush to the joints of the doll's body, to her fingers and toes and shoulders, her belly and her chest. I like to use makeup brushes for this because they are very soft. Do not forget to add pastels to the doll's back too. And once I am done with this, I seal in the pastels with another layer of sealant spray. Next I am working on the doll's outfit. First I give a tulle trim with needle and thread. And I tie the ends of the thread around the doll's waist. Next I give her the front of the tulle skirt. I want to make the front of the tulle underskirt a bit shorter, like this. Next I add a piece of pink felt to the doll's waist. This is going to be the base for the flower over skirt. I attach different fabric flowers in shades of pink with my hot glue gun to the felt base of the skirt. It is important that I use felt as a base because it is thick material. If I would try to add the flowers directly to the tulle underskirt, it would damage the fabric. I am going to create a pink flower Angel Doll custom for Valentine's Day. Here I am adding butterfly shaped sequins to the flower skirt. I also add a few tiny blossoms to the tulle underskirt. Be careful when working with hot glue. Next, I want to create a top for my angel doll. I'm going to use small blossoms and a butterfly sequin, and I'm attaching the top directly to the doll's bust. I'm using hot glue for this. Next, I take a dotting tool and golden acrylic paint, and I add a few specks of golden paint to the dress. Now I want to create sleeves for my angel doll. For that I add single petals and tiny blossoms to white ribbon. However, when I try to attach the sleeves to the doll's arms, it doesn't look good at all, so I cut the ribbon and I attach the flower sleeves as ankle covers. Now I want to create jewelry for my angel doll. For that I add a chain with beads, and I attach the bead chain to the doll's necklace and to two arm cuffs. The arm cuffs I am using are actually hair beads for humans. They have a perfect size for doll arm cuffs. This was a bit finicky, but I think it's looking very nice in the end. Next, I prepare the doll's face with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear Sealant Spray. And I use the same pink pastels I used to blush her body to blush her face. I add pastels to her forehead, cheeks, nose and lips. And after another layer of sealant, I sketch the doll's eyes with a white watercolor pencil, and I add even more pastel blush. I'm coloring the sclera in white, and my doll is going to have blue eyes, so I sketch the iris with a light blue watercolor pencil. Once I am happy with the eye shape, I take a brown watercolor pencil and frame the eyes. I'm giving her eyebrows which match the doll's hair color. Here I am sketching the pupils with a black watercolor pencil. I darken the cupid's bow and her nose holes with a brown watercolor pencil. Here I am working on her lips. I want the corners of her lips to be darker. Next I add another layer of sealant, and once that has dried, I add some more white pigment to her sclera. I let each layer of sealant dry for at least 15 minutes. And here I am coloring the upper part of the iris in dark blue and the lower part of the iris in light blue. You got to be patient when you are doing a face-up on a doll. It's all about adding pigment in different layers. Here I'm darkening the lash line with a black watercolor pencil. I always use black last because mistakes with a black watercolor pencil are difficult to fix. I also colored the waterline in red. Here I thicken the lash line. This base doll has a cute smile. I think a smiling doll will look very nice as a Valentine's Day angel. I added some more pastels to her face up. This is an eyeshadow applicator that I use to color the lips. I darken the eyebrows with a purple watercolor pencil. And here I am drawing the eyelashes. I made a mistake while drawing the eyelashes, and it can easily be fixed with a wet brush. Here I am redrawing the eyelashes that I fixed. And I add another layer of sealant spray. Next I add even more pink blush to the doll's face. And here I am adding golden freckles with liquid golden watercolor paint and a brush. With a dotting tool and white watercolor paint, I add the catch lights to the eyes, and after that has dried, I add two final layers of sealant spray. Next I am going to work on the doll's headdress. In case you wondered what I was going to do with the smaller pair of wings, I want to add them to the headpiece. I also add a few pink blossoms to the headpiece. These are the same blossoms that I used for the dress. I also added some golden specks to the headdress. Next I heat the hole in the doll's head with a blow dryer, and then I reattach the head to the doll's neck pack. She's going to look super cute. Lastly, I style the doll's hair. I'm going to make a braided hairstyle because of the wings that she will be wearing. I take a small piece of hair on the side of her head and do a simple braid with 3 strands. I do the same on the other side of her face. Then I'm going to braid the rest of her hair into a simple braid. Again with 3 strands. And now I'm taking the 2 smaller braids and I'm going to wrap them around the bigger braid, and I'm using golden hair beads to keep the braids in place. These are the same golden hair beads that I used as arm cuffs. Next I'm going to create a tiara for my doll. I trim a piece of a beaded necklace and I'm keeping it in place with 3 pins. Lastly, I attach the wings to the doll's back. I added ribbons to the wings so the wings are removable. After after adding the headpiece to the doll's hair, this doll is all done. Here is my Valentine's Day Angel doll custom. I named her Celeste. I think she turned out really cute. I like her sweet smile and big blue eyes. And I'm really happy with her outfit. I think she's one of the prettiest dolls I ever made. How do you like my Valentine's Day Angel? Tell me in the comments below. Stay safe and be creative.